The ground under my boots was shaking before I even saw the ships. 3 dark shapes cut through the clouds above my north field, and my goats scattered in every direction, screaming like the sky itself had cracked open. I dropped the water bucket I was carrying and ran toward the fence line, my heart slamming against my ribs. This was not a supply drop. Nobody who came in peace landed 3 armed shuttles on a quiet farm at dawn. My name is Cale Dawson, and I farm void wheat on a small world called Thren Hollow, a place so far from anywhere important that most star maps do not even bother to label it. I live alone, except for my dog. At least, that is what I always called him. Biscuit was never an ordinary dog, but 3 years ago, when I found him bleeding and half frozen in a crater behind my barn, I did not care what he was. I only cared that something small and shaking needed help. So I carried him inside, wrapped him in a blanket, and fed him warm broth until he opened his eyes. Now those eyes were narrow and fixed on the shuttles landing in my pasture, and for the first time since I found him, Biscuit was not wagging his tail. The shuttles touched down hard, kicking up dust and flattening what was left of my fence. Doors hissed open, and figures stepped out, wearing tall silver armor, their faces hidden behind curved helmets, shaped like insect skulls. There were 12 of them, moving in tight formation, weapons raised, and scanning the ground like they expected an ambush from a farmhouse and a few dozen goats. I raised my hands slowly and walked forward, because running never solves anything, and hiding only makes soldiers nervous. Biscuit stayed close to my leg, low and quiet, his black-plated body pressed against my knee. The one in front, taller than the rest with gold trim on his armor, lifted a small device and pointed it at me. It beeped twice, then beeped a third time, and his whole body went stiff. He turned the device toward Biscuit instead. The beeping stopped completely. Silence followed, the kind of silence that feels heavier than noise. "That is impossible," he said, his voice coming out flat and strange through a translator box on his chest. "That signature does not belong on a farm." I frowned and stepped slightly in front of my dog, the way anyone would protect a pet from a stranger with a gun. He is not bothering anyone. He herds my goats and keeps the raiders away. That is all he does. The tall one laughed, but it did not sound like real laughter. It sounded like fear trying to disguise itself as confidence. "Herds goats," he repeated. "You have no idea what is standing beside you." I did not like his tone, and I liked it even less when 2 of his soldiers raised their weapons toward Biscuit instead of me. My chest tightened, and I opened my mouth to argue, but Biscuit moved first. He did not growl. He did not bark. He simply straightened his legs, and something changed in the air around him, a low hum that made the hair on my arms rise. I had felt that hum only a few times before, always at night, always when he stared at the stars like he was listening to something none of us could hear. The gold-trimmed leader shouted a command in a language I did not understand, sharp and urgent, and every soldier around him tensed at once. "Wait," I said, stepping forward again. "He has done nothing wrong. Whatever you think he is, you are wrong. He sleeps at the foot of my bed. He eats vegetable scraps. He is my pet." The leader's eyes, or whatever passed for eyes behind that helmet, fixed on me with something close to disbelief. "Your pet," he said slowly, like the words tasted strange in his mouth, "is a Thresh Hollow word. Do you understand what that means?" Fleets change their travel routes for 100 light years, just to avoid a system where one has been seen. Entire outposts have been abandoned, because a single one was spotted in orbit. And you have been feeding it broth. For a moment, none of that mattered to me, because all I saw was fear tightening around a dozen strangers who had no business standing on my land. I did not know what a Thresh Hollow weird was supposed to be. I only knew the small shaking creature I found dying in a crater. The one who slept curled against my side through the coldest nights. The one who never once hurt anyone I loved. But something in the air had shifted, and it was not because of me. One of the younger soldiers, hands trembling, fired first. Maybe out of fear, maybe out of instinct, maybe because someone farther back gave a signal I could not hear. A bright bolt of light crossed the field and struck the dirt beside Biscuit's paw. Everything after that happened so fast that my memory only holds pieces of it, like photographs taken between blinks. Biscuit moved. He did not move like a dog anymore. He moved like something that had been sleeping for a very long time and had just remembered exactly what it was built to do. One instant, he stood beside me, calm and familiar. The next instant, he was simply gone from that spot, and the world blurred around him. I heard shouting. I heard weapons firing into empty air where he no longer was. I heard armor plates cracking apart like dry branches, though I forced my eyes half shut, because some things are not meant to be watched too closely, even by someone who loves the one causing them. Within moments, the field fell silent, and when I opened my eyes fully again, Biscuit stood in the center of it, breathing steady, his black plating catching the morning light. The soldiers who had come with weapons raised were no longer standing. Only the gold-trimmed leader remained upright, frozen in place, his helmet cracked down the middle, revealing a pale, wide-eyed face beneath. "You," he whispered, staring at Biscuit, then at me, "you truly do not understand what you have been living with." I walked slowly toward my dog, my hands still shaking, my mind trying to catch up with what I had just witnessed. Biscuit turned his head toward me the moment I got close, and the fierce, ancient energy in his posture melted away almost instantly. His tail gave one small, uncertain wag, like he was checking whether I was still proud of him. I knelt down and placed my palm against the side of his head, the same way I had every single night for 3 years. "Good boy," I said quietly, my voice cracking just slightly. "You did not have to do that, but thank you for protecting me." The leader took a step back toward his remaining shuttle, his hands raised, his voice shaking as he spoke into a small communicator on his wrist. Words spilled out in a language I could not follow, but the tone needed no translation. It was the tone of someone reporting something they never expected to survive long enough to report. Within the hour, the 2 remaining shuttles lifted off Thren Hollow and vanished into the clouds, leaving scorched grass, broken fencing, and a very confused farmer standing in the middle of his own pasture. I did not sleep well that night, not because I feared Biscuit, but because I finally understood what I had been living beside every single day without ever truly seeing it. I sat on my porch steps long after the stars came out, watching him lie in the grass exactly like he always had, chewing lazily on a piece of dried meat, while my goats grazed peacefully nearby, completely unaware of how close danger had come to their home. Word travels strangely across the stars, faster than any of us expect. Within a season, merchants passing through the nearest trading post told me that entire fleets had rerouted around this system entirely, refusing to risk another encounter. Rumors spread that humans on a quiet farming world had tamed something ancient and unstoppable, something that listened to a single voice and slept curled beside a human bed each night. I never corrected the rumors, because in a strange way, they were true. Biscuit never asked for power, and he never sought conflict. He only wanted warmth, food, and someone who cared whether he lived or died. In return, he gave me something no army or empire could offer, a peace built not on fear, but on loyalty freely given. Sometimes, late at night, I still catch him staring up at the stars, his body trembling with that same low hum I first noticed years ago. I do not know what memories live behind those ancient eyes, or what world he came from before a crater on my farm became his new home. I only know that whatever he once was out among those stars, here on Thren Hollow, he chooses to be something simpler. A friend, a guardian, a very good boy who happens to make entire fleets change their course, rather than risk facing him again. And every evening, when the sun dips below the hills and the goats settle into their pen, Biscuit trots up beside me, presses his head against my leg, and waits patiently for his dinner. just like any other pet in the galaxy, except for the small fact that somewhere out there, powerful empires still whisper his name with something close to fear. I would not trade him for anything,